Some water? You on film right now? You been recorded right now? Here you go. Pam, what's going on in your life? All right, Mr. Epps. I'm gonna ask you this question here. When were you born? When were you born?
When was I born?
Yeah.
I was born in 1930.
1930?
1930.
And where was that? Where did you grow up at?
Well, I started going to elementary school in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And from Tulsa, Oklahoma, well, that was during Depression days, back in them days. It was kind of rough in Oklahoma. But that's where I first started the school, was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And then after, well, during the Depression, my mother's brothers sent for us. They were in California already. And then I came to Oakland, California. And then I went to Prescott Junior High School, Prescott Elementary, then I went to McClymonds High in Oakland. That's where my school was. And then I joined the Air Force from there.
Joined the Air Force?
Yeah.
And so you say you joined the Air Force. So what was some of the the race relations and stuff back then?
Well, the Air Force, it was good as long as you wasn't in the South. You know? California, well, I didn't know much about prejudice in those days, because I was a young kid in Oklahoma, and my mother used to work for rich white folks, and they wanted her to bring me to play with their boys, you know? Yeah. So I didn't get too much of it. I really found out about prejudice when I joined the Air Force. Because during that time, the armed service was segregated. And I joined the Air Force in 1948, I think it was 45. I put my age up and went in. And I really found out about prejudice when they stationed me in Montgomery, Alabama.
So I don't know what you mean by that. You found out about prejudice. Like what happened?
Well, you know, we had our own. Blacks had their own barracks. Whites had their own barracks. We couldn't play in the big gym down on the base. We couldn't swim in the pool on the base. We had our own little outdoor basketball courts and, you know, little dingy pool. And we were segregated. We couldn't do a lot of things, and especially in Montgomery, Alabama. Montgomery, Alabama, that's where Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks started the civil rights movement. And it was rough, man. It was, and this was 20 years before Martin marched, okay?
Okay.
And it was very, very bad, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, blacks really was pressed down, okay? And you couldn't do much. You couldn't do anything downtown, all right? In Montgomery. You couldn't shop, you couldn't do nothing. All you could do, you change buses or walk out of there to the black neighborhood. You know, you couldn't do anything downtown Montgomery, Alabama at that time. And I'll tell all the young people of Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia, Lord have mercy. That was the rough, those were really the rough 3 states on young blacks. You know, because, hey man, they'd kill you in a minute and nothing done about it, okay, if you were black.
Did you see any of that type of stuff going down?
Well, I didn't see none of that, you know, where we were, because we were primarily on the base. And here we were all training to go overseas to fight for a country that we wasn't even a citizen in, you know? And so I didn't see too much of that, okay? I heard about it, and we knew But we didn't get involved in it. When you're in the armed service, you don't get involved in civilian, you know, things and so on. But, you know, I had a little rough time, you know, and like I was telling them, yeah, I had a rough time. But like when like I was, you know, I was saying I was raised religiously, so I, you know, I had God on my side, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you, like as far as like your family, how was like, you know, the relations with you and your family?
My family?
Yeah, like your brothers, sisters, mother,
Well,
father.
I had a brother, my oldest brother, named Floyd, and I had a sister named Edna, but she just passed away last year, you know, and it was, well, my brother, my sister, and my mother, because my father died when I was very young, okay, and so that was our family on this side. But when we moved to Oakland, I'll tell you this, when we moved to Oakland, we joined the church called, in Oakland, California. And about a year after that, because my father had, you know, passed when I was very young, but about a year after we were in Oakland, my mother met a man, and she remarried.
Right.
And I didn't think nobody was as religious as my mother. This man was the president of the deacon board. And they got married, and then both of them was working for the government. And he was a divorcee. He was raising his 3 children, 3 boys he had. And it was Joe, Lawrence, and Luther. That was his 3 boys. Now, we didn't have no money too much, because blacks wasn't making too much money back in them days. But we were living in a 2-bedroom apartment. That was 8 of us living in it.
Right.
You understand what I mean? Now, I'll make it short and tell you who the man was that my mother married. His name was Joseph. It was Michael Jackson's grandfather.
Michael Jackson's grandfather? Oh, yeah.
It was a long time before Michael was ever thought of.
Right.
You know, and Joe Jackson's father.
Mm.
And we all lived in that 2-bedroom apartment. And 1 mile outside of Oakland, California. It was called Hollow Homes, but it's gone now. They tore a lot of government projects down. But we were living outside of West Oakland. And Joseph and I and all of we grew up in Oakland. You hear a lot of people say Joe was raised up in Gary, Indiana. No, he wasn't.
So he wasn't raised in Gary. He wasn't. So, really?
He graduated from McClammons High School. And well, I went into service, and one of the other brothers went into service, and then he moved back to Indiana. That's when he went back to Gary to stay with his real mother. And that's when he started raising them kids. Yeah, that's why it was there. You know, a lot of people don't know. A lot of people say things that don't even know what they're saying.
Right.
They just say it, you know. But, yeah, Joe picked cotton too. We all had to pick cotton.
You pick cotton?
Oh, yeah. That was the only way we could make a living. So Mom and Dad didn't have enough money to give us spending money to take our girlfriends out and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to find work. And the only work was in the farm country. Okay? Wasn't no whole lot of young Mexicans out there. There was young blacks. You know?
Right.
Yeah. And so from there, like I said, I went overseas in the Air Force. And, I could tell you a lot going through that. But most predators part was in Montgomery, and that's where I almost got in trouble, you know, because I wasn't used to it by growing up in Oakland.
Right.
Oakland, California was mixed. Okay, we went, the schools were mixed, and like in New York, they were mixed too, you know. But when you got outside and crossed that Mason district line, everything changed, okay? Whites had their school, blacks had their school. When I first started the school, elementary, it was all black schools. It wasn't no mix. It wasn't mixed. So it was all black. And we learned a when I was growing up, when you went to school, the teacher and the principal became your parent. You see, from away from your mother and father, you had to obey them. You had to learn. I mean, it wasn't no plaything, okay? And it was great because the teachers had a right to discipline you. And we had religion. We could pray in school. We could study biblical things in school. You know, in the black schools. You know, and like when I got to California, that was, you know, wasn't in the schools too much. And the school, like I said, the school was mixed. It was white. Well, all kinds of colors was going to the school in California.
Oh, okay. And let me see. So what about, did you ever have any run-in or anybody you know had a run-in with the KKK?
You know what?
With the KKK, Ku Klux Klan.
Well, we had, it was doing after I started playing music, okay? And we were traveling, and we were in, where were we at? I think in Alabama. No, it was in Georgia, in Atlanta. I was working on a show with Little Richard, and we were working in this big supper club. Well, Little Richard was about the only one that could work in the white supper club down south and everything. But they, you know, well, you know, they thought he was gay, and he wasn't no threat to the girls, okay? you know.
Yeah.
So he could take in a show, and one night we got a threat from the KKK. Okay?
Right.
And so we didn't know what was going to happen. But the church, the place where we were playing, well, man, we were kind of afraid, you know. But it was strange. And I give my hat off to the black Muslims. I'm not a Muslim, but I give my hat off to them. Because at that time, they were organized too. Elijah had organized the black movement. And when they heard about the threat, well, it didn't matter whether it was prejudice or not, they lined that club for us, okay? To protect us.
Right.
And that was mostly, well, like I went through some things. I don't know if they were KKK or whatever they were, but I'll tell you this, they did it. The white folks in the South were very, very rough on blacks. We couldn't, even when I had a hit record, I couldn't live in the hotels. We didn't have and the blacks didn't have much in them days, okay? And we couldn't stay in the hotels. We could play concerts for them, and they would throw 2 concerts, like one in the daytime for blacks and one at night for white, because they didn't want that many blacks congregating at night.
Right.
You know, in the South. And so, and it wasn't no mix. You didn't mix. And so that was a lot. It was rough on us a little bit, you know, because we had to sleep on the bus, ride on the bus, change on the bus, and eat on the bus. And if you wanted to go to a restaurant and you were on a highway or something, you had to go to the back door.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. The emotions, I'm talking about like your emotions, I'm like in that era in our history. Okay, like right now, you know, we walk around, you know, outside and like, you know, like everything, you know, cuss, fight, each other and all that stuff. But what I want to know is how was like the fear factor of the black man in America at that time?
Well, we got along pretty well as a race of people. And even, you know, we had little games, but they wasn't killing one another. You know, if we had a fight going on, we let them fight till one said he had enough, and that was it. Killing one another. Okay? No, that wasn't it. That wasn't in their mind to kill one another. You know? And most of them got along pretty well because we took ours out in sports. You know, playing baseball, football, basketball. See, that's how we got off. You know?
Oh, okay. So it wasn't all about the game, the murder, shooting and killing each other over nothing.
Right.
It's like fight to live another day.
That's it. You know, that's the way it was. You know, there wasn't no killing one another. We didn't believe in that. You know, I mean, we got out of line and all. We had a little skirmish. You know, East gang, West side, West Oakland gang, East Oakland gang, Harlem gang, Hunter Park gang. Oh, we had little wars, but like I said, it wasn't us killing one another. Oh, we fist fight, you know. Yeah. But that was it. So, but I tell you, the experience that I had, I wouldn't trade it, but it was a lot, you know. But I tell you that, how they treated us somewhat, you know, wasn't too cool, you know, especially you in uniform, you know, preparing to go overseas, you know. And I was on my way from Alabama, I'm gonna tell you this, man, it scared me. I was on my way from Alabama to California because I was getting ready to ship overseas. And the train stopped in Biloxi, Mississippi. And I went to get off the train to go in to get me a sandwich. And when I put my foot on that step to go down, big 6-foot white man put a 45 right in my face. He said, "Nigga, where you going?" And I saw the 45.
Yeah.
I said, "Nowhere." And I turned and went back on the train. But if I'd have tried to go past me, he'd shot me, you know. And that's the way it was. You know, we wasn't allowed to go in through the, you know, if we wanted something to eat, we had to get off the train, walk around it, and go in the back door and ask for it. Okay? And that's the only way that you could get a sandwich or something, you know, because they wouldn't allow it. And like I said, it was a long time before Martin ever marched, okay?
That was before Martin ever marched?
Before Martin ever marched. It was, you know, and after he started the civil rights movement, Montgomery, I said, well, that was the first place, that was a good place to start. Because it was rough. It was rough, man.
It was rough.
Yeah, blacks didn't have nothing, you know. And back in them days, we couldn't own nothing. You know, we didn't have no rights. How could we own anything? You couldn't patent nothing. If you go to one of the libraries or something and pull up the charts of all the inventions that black made, okay? We didn't reap the rewards from of all that stuff that George Washington, Carver, and all of them did, Dunbar and all of them. We didn't reap the rewards for it because we couldn't patent. Whites took it and patented it. And that's how they got it all. You know? So like I said in Montgomery, we couldn't shop downtown. That's how Sears and Roebuck catalog came into effect because the blacks had to order like their clothes or merchandise from a Sears catalog. Okay?
Oh, okay.
And a lot of people don't know, back in them days it was Sears and Roebuck. Roebuck was black. See what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay? And they took Roebuck's name off of it. You know, you don't see Sears and Roebuck no more.
Right, Sears.
But the black, Roebuck was black. But like I said, we couldn't patent that. Look at all the money we made from the peanut. But look at all that stuff.
So what about the peanut?
Well, George Washington Carver. He's the one that started the peanut butter, the peanut this, the peanut oil. He's the one that took and showed you what all the stuff you can make out of a peanut. Okay? But you couldn't patent. So by not being,
black man.
right. So by him not being able to patent, like I said, all that stuff, it's a whole lot of stuff, man. But we couldn't patent it, so our children and their children couldn't reap the rewards for it. Because we didn't own it. We did not own it. You know? And well, it's sad, but we've come a long way, man, since then. but we still got a mentality that it kind of disturbs me for my people, black, because we cannot get together and pool our minds to something, to build something for Black America, you know. And I'll tell the world, we got a lot of good college graduates now. We picked the cotton, sewed the cotton, processed the cotton, made the material, designed the clothes, made the clothes, but we don't own a clothing factory. Lord have mercy. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On the international market, we have nothing at Black America. Nothing.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And, well, they got, you know what I mean? The Koreans, the Japanese, Chinese, everybody got something. But you know, Black America don't have nothing. You know?
So it's like self-hatred type?
Yeah. See, we don't trust one another monetarily.
Right.
You understand what I'm trying to say? You know, Magic Johnson tried. I'll tell you this. God bless him. When he started buying little stuff over in the Crenshaw district, all of that over there was for sale. All them big buildings with big stores, okay? They was all for sale. But nobody, black entertainment or black professional ball players or nothing would go in with it. They could have bought the whole thing. He could only buy so much. And for him to spread out, he had to go to his Jewish brothers that he went to college with.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And that's sad, you know, for us, you know, as a people. And until we learn that that's what it's supposed to be, that we're supposed to collectively, you see, don't know one man on Sears or on MCA and all that. It's thousands of people, but they all pool their money. And if we would pool our resources, we could own something. Koreatown. When I was growing up, man, Koreatown was all black. Well, at first it was Germans and Jews lived over there.
Okay.
They moved out. The blacks moved in, all over there. And when I came back to Los Angeles and saw Koreatown, this was all black. But the blacks did not buy.
Oh, man.
And when the man that owned it was all white, you know, Germans and white. Because, see, at one time in Los Angeles, we couldn't go past Main Street west.
Really?
See what I'm saying? That was the borderline. Central Avenue was where all the clubs were, supper clubs and all of that was on Central Avenue. The Dunbar Hotel was where all the stars lived when they came. Sammy, Sarah Bar, all of them. They all stayed in Dunbar Hotel on Central Avenue. All the rich white folks had to come down there to hear the music. Because Beverly Hills at that, and Hollywood didn't have no clubs at that time. It was all on Central Avenue. You see? And we weren't allowed to live across Main Street. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
We couldn't rent nothing. Couldn't buy nothing. You see? That was right here in Los Angeles, you know? And, you know, and eventually, like I said, all of that career time, blacks didn't buy.
So when did you start playing the bongos?
Well, I started playing the bongos, let me tell you, man, it was strange. That was a strange happening. Because I didn't know nothing about them. You know, when I was in school, I used to, you know, we all had to take music. Blacks had to take some kind of music when they were going to school when I was growing up. You know, no matter what. And I was, when I came from overseas, I could play ball, okay? I mean, that was it. But we couldn't get into professional ball. Jack Ross hadn't even broke in yet, okay? And we couldn't get into professional ball. We couldn't, you know, and the only other, and it really hurt because I was good, okay? And I knew I was good. I played for the 5th Air Force when I was overseas, you know, and I was good. And they wouldn't let us into that. And the other thing that I could do was in construction. I could drive anything. Tractor, dozer, grader, everything. Had credentials. But they wouldn't give a black the job driving. There was too much money. You had to use the pick and shovel. Okay? So that wasn't for me. So when I got discharged out of the service, I had to live. So I started working as a manager of a after-hour nightclub, and it was called Jim Goes Bob City. And that's where all the top musicians used to come after hours to play, jam together and all of that. And I was about to get in some trouble, okay?
Yeah.
Because I was trying to live. And I started doing a little crooked stuff, you know? Selling alcohol after hours. I was bootlegging. I had to pay my rent, okay? And I started doing all that. I couldn't get into drugs or none of that because I couldn't see that. I watched everybody that was using them and saw how I did them, and I said, I don't want that. Anything that kill you, I don't want.
Right, that's good.
Okay?
That's good.
You know, 'cause I saw alcohol kill my dad, and so I never drank that much. And drugs, every drug, no, because I saw a lot of things go down in that too, of young fellas trying to sell hard drugs and messing up the money, and them gangsters don't play.
Right.
They kill you, okay, if you didn't have the money, okay? And I didn't like the prostitution thing because those pimps was really rough on them girls, boy. You know, and so like I said, I was bootlegging alcohol, and the mafia tried to get me. I was in San Francisco at that time. Mafia wanted, okay? And they wanted me to try to do this and try to do that. I said, no, okay, I'm all right. And then, I don't know, I was about to get into something. And the drums, like I said, I had never seen the set. And the people in America didn't know nothing about it either. Nobody. Because like I was telling some people the other day, the African drums outlawed in America during slavery time.
So the African drums was outlawed in America?
Well, when they brought the slaves over,
Right.
they didn't allow them to bring the drum.
Oh, okay.
And they wasn't allowed to make them either after they got here.
Okay.
Because drums was used in Africa to transfer messages to each other. Like if they're gonna have a war over here, a party over here, whatever, they knew certain sounds, certain rhythms, certain things would amplify this, okay? And so they weren't allowed to have them at all. And then if you look at Jamaica and Trinidad, what they got? Steel drums.
Yeah.
Congos and the Bongos, they weren't allowed to have them. So they made steel drums. They could play with, you know, music with it.
Right.
You know, and that's what they got. But in America, no. And like I said, man, I was about to get in trouble. And like I said, I was raised very religiously. And I believe, you know, in the Word of God.
Right.
And God put them drums in my head in a dream. Okay? And I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what the dream was. All I did, you know, and it was about it. And I passed it off. I didn't pay no mind. And then I passed it off. And about a year later, one of the greatest dancers, African dancers that ever lived, was named Catherine Dunn. She was the greatest dancer, I'm telling you. Okay? I was working in Beverly Hills at a service station. And the city of Hope had her to bring over some African dancers and African drummers from over in Nigeria. And when they came, well, they came to me, like I said, because Los Los Angeles, they couldn't find no place to live that way, and not in Beverly Hills, and not out that way, because we couldn't go past Main Street, you know.
Right.
So they enlisted me to get them rooms and get them, you know, and get them a place and transportation. And when I went to their show that night, 7 drummers, no other instrument, and I heard music come out of drums.
Right.
And I had heard every kind of music in the world, because managing Bob City, every kind of music in the world came through there. But I had never heard music come out of drums.
Right.
So these African boys, ooh man, it was something else. And the way they played together, you know. And so they taught me some things on the drum, like I still hadn't seen no bongos, okay? And I didn't know what it would have meant, but they showed me how to play. And when they left, I don't know, that sound they were doing stayed in my head.
Right.
And I used to take that one drum they gave me and go up on the roof of the apartment building where I was living when I got off from work and try to make myself sound like all 8 of them. You know, all 7 of them. You know what I mean? And eventually I got pretty good at it. And so I got good, and I was about the only one playing. And so I was playing one day where I was working. I used to take the drum with me to work, and then on my lunch break I'd go out in the shed and play. And so somebody heard me. And I think they asked me to go to a club one night and listen. And I went, and I played, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
But all the top musicians I had met, like Count Basie, Duke Ellington, all of them I had met. And when they were in town, they would make me get my drum and play with them because they liked my personality. Okay?
You said Count Basie, Duke Ellington, them did?
Oh yeah. You know, they like my personality. They make me play.
Right.
So, and that way I learned to play with every kind of music. And what's her name? This can't call her name right now. It was then Calypso came in.
The who?
There was a music called Calypso.
Okay.
Okay. So we went through a whole lot of changes in music.
Right.
Jazz, blues, then Calypso. That's when Al Belafonte came on the scene. And this lady, she's a writer. What's her name? I can't call her name at the moment. But she's up in the 80s now. She's a friend of Oprah's.
Oh, she's a friend of Winfrey's?
Huh?
You said she's a friend of Oprah Winfrey's?
Yeah. In fact, she teaches back in South Carolina, North Carolina, somewhere. She had a college out there, you know. And, man, ain't there something? I got her name on my mind and I can't call her.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right, too.
But anyway, this was the club. I passed by that, and if I think about it, I'll let you know. And it was the club in Beverly Hills, and this man hired me to play intermission, to play the African type rhythms and stuff. They had a jazz trio that played and singers, but on the intermission they didn't have none. So I would play 15-minute drums. And then one day a guy came in, and I don't know where he got him from, from Cuba or somewhere, brought a set of bongos with him. And he told me, he said, man, you ought to try to play these. Well, I did, and soon I transferred from the big one to the little one, because it was a lot of fun. You know?
Yeah.
And a young starlet came in, because that's what a lot of the young, beautiful starlets, and I was working up in Beverly Hills, and they would come in the club just to hear me play. And this young starlet came in, and by that time rock and roll had just started. And she said, I know somebody that might cut a record with you. And so she brought him in one night. His name was
His name was who?
Art LeBeau.
Oh, yeah, Art LeBeau.
Original Sound Recording Company.
Yeah.
He's still on the air now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he told me, he said, man, I like what you're doing. He said, but we have to cut that down to, I'm doing a 15-minute solo. And he wanted me to cut it down to 2 minutes.
No.
I thought it was crazy.
Yeah.
But what he wanted was the energy. You know, but I would build to a certain energy.
Mm-hmm.
But he wanted that energy in 2 minutes. And I didn't know what he wanted. And I tried. Oh man, he told me I'd try something and go in, he didn't like it. And then one day, I'm gonna tell you, I was singing in the choir at church, Mama Rob Baptist Church, right over here, Figueroa. And that day, the choir was singing a song. And they put that song in the temple. It was called Glory, Glory, Hallelujah, When I Lay My Burdens Down.
Yeah, I know that song, yeah.
You hear me? And they put that song in a temple that I didn't believe. I didn't believe the temple. Glory, glory, yeah. And that melody stuck on my mind. I got out of church. All I could think of was that which they were doing. I went home. I was living out on 81st and they do. And I went home, got my drums, went out to go ride, because my mama had kicked me out of the house with all that noise.
Yeah.
And I went out to go ride, and I kept fooling with that rhythm. You know?
Yeah.
Kept fooling with it, and I got where I could. And then I called Oliver, and I went in. And when I played that, he said, that's it.
Mm.
And he called every musician in the world. It was the greatest musician, jazz musician, greatest musician that nobody ever called. With Red Callender on bass. Renee Hall was on guitar. Earl Palmer was on drums. And let me see, what was the guitar player name? Jazz guitar, one of the white jazz guitars, one of the greatest, Barney Kelson. And the sound that they put with that rhythm, and that, we created Bongo Rock.
Bongo Rock?
Bongo Rock. And Art LeBeau put it out, and it hit all over the world. It made everybody in the world want to play bongos, you know. And all the other record companies started implementing it, bongos and congos into their music. And that's how the bongos got started in the East, like in Germany and France and all over in America. It was through Bongo Rock.
Hold up, it's down to like 48 seconds. Now, I can, bam, what's going on in your life? Part one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this part here because it sounds like, you can say something still like, you got like 20, 19, this is seconds before this fill up. Then I can take this off and start over. But I have to take this and convert it over to the